Hey everyone, thank you for watching. And today's video is going to be a new hits and misses, a review style video. So I do a trying new makeup series every week here on my channel, and I will always come back to give my full thoughts on everything since most of those videos are first impressions. So that's what we're doing today. A couple items I'll be reviewing: the Catrice Liquid HD Foundation. I have the new MAC Concealer. Also eyeshadow palettes from Stilazzi. I have two different palettes to chat about. A new product from Buxom, a new lip product, and also the Morphe Jaclyn Hill brushes that just came out. So I'll be giving my thoughts on all of these products that I've been trying out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I will have my first impression style video listed down below in case you want to check out my initial thoughts on some of these products. But first up, I have the foundation. This is from Catrice. It's their HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is about $10.99, $11. And this isn't necessarily a new foundation, but why they sent out PR packages to some people is because they're actually expanding their shade range. Their initial shade range was really tiny, so it's exciting to see them coming out with more. And they even said in the press kit that they sent out that they are still planning to continue even more to expanding their shade range, so that's great. So I was interested to try this foundation. It has a dropper form here like that. The shade that I'm currently wearing is Hazelnut Beige. It is the foundation that I have on today. I did also film this look for Instagram, so tutorial will be going up over there. But I noticed that it said that this was a more mattifying foundation. I'm more of like a natural finish or even like a dewy finish foundation fan, and it was supposed to be more on the full coverage side, but it also says on here it's supposed to give you a second skin effect. So I really had no idea what I was gonna think going into this foundation, but I actually really like it. It is pretty liquidy. I typically shake it up before I apply it. I've noticed that I enjoy playing it the most with a makeup sponge. Typically that's what I prefer for foundations, but every once in a while I'll find that I like a brush a little bit better, but still with this one I like the sponge. It says that it's lightweight, non-oily texture. It feels like a second skin. It's supposed to provide a long-lasting, a full coverage without a mask effect and create an even complexion. And it's supposed to have high definition finish for camera ready skin. It does say to shake well before use. I don't know if I read that. I just noticed that it's liquidy, so I shake it. But I actually really like this one, and truly I don't find it to be super mattifying. I have dry skin, so sometimes mattifying foundations I'm like, oh no, I want like a little bit of life to my skin. But this one, to me, it's honestly more of a natural finish, especially depending on like what primers I use, and then kind of like if I'm using like powders or highlights or whatnot. It's more natural to me. I can see the mattifying effect, but at the same time, I think it looks more natural on my skin. Like I said, I am wearing it today. But so far, I've really been liking this one. I like the coverage on it. I think it is more full coverage, but with the dropper form, you can really kind of play around with how much product you're using. You can get the medium coverage, you can build it up to the full coverage. I really like that you kind of have, you know, you get to choose what you want for your coverage there, but I don't really have a lot of cons about this one. I noticed that it does kind of have more of a scent to it, which I know not everybody loves, but I only really notice it once I'm applying it to the tool that I'm going to be using to apply it to my face. Once I start blending it in, I don't even notice the scent then, but I thought that I would point that out. But so far, I think the long-lasting wise is good for it. The coverage is good. I like the finish that it's giving my skin, and it's a more affordable foundation that now comes in more shades. So I've been really liking this one from Catrice. Also in that video, I tried out this giant sponge here. This is from Sonia Kashuk. This is the marble sponge. I got mine in a set. It came with two like larger face sponges and then 3 mini sponges, and the set was $15. I picked mine up at Target. You can buy this one separately. It's $7 on its own. They just didn't have this one by itself when I was shopping at Target that day. Otherwise, I probably just would have bought the one. But that's a little bit about this one. This gets huge. Like when I am getting it wet, I feel like it's just getting bigger and bigger and expanding more and expanding more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a very large sponge. I did use it for my makeup today, so that's why it's a little bit on the dirty side right now. But I actually really like this sponge. I picked it up because I keep seeing so many people using them in tutorials, and I'm like, this sponge just like looks cool, okay? Like, let me just be honest. I bought it because I thought it looked cool, and I was seeing other people use it. I like how big it gets though, because I feel like I'm really doing my makeup very quickly. It's more, you know, it's a pretty traditional sponge. It comes to a point here. It's not like the smallest point, thinnest point ever, but I still, foundation, concealer, I used it to apply loose powder today. I've really had no issues with this one. I've been seeing some people say that they think this is really hard. Like when I used it in that video, people are like, I did not like this sponge because it's so hard. I generally don't find it to be hard at all. Like I'm totally fine with it. And I also do not like hard sponges, like where it feels like you're punching yourself in the face. I do not have that with this one. When it's dry, when it's completely dry, I feel like it feels like it's really, really firm. But once I leave it underwater for a very long time and let it really expand so it's like nice and huge, it is very, very soft when damp. So I've been really also liking this sponge from Sonia Kashuk. So next up is the concealer that I tried in that video. This one is a new one from MAC. This is the 24-Hour Studio Fix Smooth Wear Concealer. These are $22. The shade that I have been using is in NC30. There's a really large shade range for this, which I think is fabulous. So for the concealer, it has kind of like your standard doe foot here, and I've been liking this concealer. I kind of like my first thoughts when I was filming that video was like, yes, I think it's really nice, but I'm not getting the vibe that like this is going to be a new holy grail concealer for me. It's not the most hydrating concealer that I've ever tried, and for me with my concealer preferences, I prefer more full coverage but also more hydrating at the same time. I want something that's really easy to blend out. I want something that's not too drying on my under eyes, and I also want full coverage, but I don't want cakey under eyes. I feel like I ask a lot of my concealers, but I also have a lot of like favorite concealers, both high-end and also drugstore affordable. And so again, I like this one. I like the coverage on it. I think that I'm getting that kind of coverage, but I do think it can look a little bit like I have a lot of makeup on my under eyes, especially if I'm not careful about what powder I choose to set it with. If I go with something that's maybe not like as a finely milled powder and I pair it with this one, I feel like I start to look like I have a lot going on my under eyes, which I don't appreciate. I think that it holds up really well though. You know, it says 24-hour smooth. I don't know about the 24-hour claim, but I feel like I've never noticed any issues with it like breaking up or like slipping around my face. So I feel like the long wear time is there. And like I said, I don't think it's the most hydrating, most blendable concealer that I've ever tried, but if that's not something that you're really necessarily caring about in your concealer, you want something that's long wearing and you want something that's more full coverage, I think that you would get it out of this one. Again, I still like this one. I'm going to continue to use it, but I don't think I would put it in my favorite category. It would probably go like in my fine category if I was putting this in my makeup monthly. So that's my thought on the new MAC concealer. And then next up, I use the palettes, these new face palettes from Sigma Beauty. So they just came out with the Sculpt palette, which is a highlight and contour palette. So you have 6 different shades, also a mirror. And then they also came out with their blush palette, which looks like this. Again, same style of packaging. These are each $39 on the Sigma website. I am a Sigma affiliate, so I did get these sent to me. I do have my discount code with Sigma. It's affiliate code. It's Samantha, but if you're ever interested in anything, you can use that to save some money. I just mentioned these in my makeup monthly, actually in my favorite section. Sigma, I think, has great face powders. I've purchased their bronzers and their blushes separately in the past, and I really like them. So I was really excited to see them come out with face palettes because I love face palettes. The Sculpt palette, you have the highlight shades. You also have contour slash bronzer shades depending on your skin tone. The blush palette is all different blushes in here, but I love the variety of different blushes. Like, I don't feel like anything is too similar to one another in this palette, which I also appreciate. So I've been really loving on these and I would recommend them. So in that video, the brushes I was trying were these new brushes from Morphe and Jaclyn Hill. So Jaclyn Hill collaborated with Morphe to come out with the brush collection. So I'll kind of give an overview of what I think about the collection and kind of like my favorite brushes and maybe like my least favorite brushes is how I will break this down. I think I've tried pretty much every single brush now in this collection trying to get ready for this video. The first thing that I will say though about this case is actually thebomb.com. Does anybody say that anymore? This case is actually really nice, and I believe that you can purchase the case separately still, which I think is great, and I would highly recommend it. If you're someone who does a lot of traveling, I would highly recommend this because it's a very like sturdy box here, and then how you open it, like none of your brushes are going to get damaged. It holds a lot of brushes, and I think this case is like truly freaking awesome. So I did wanted to point that out. Now, to buy the full collection, all of the brushes that come included with it, it's $165. I personally really wouldn't recommend that unless you're someone who is just starting to get into like your brush game and you really need like every single brush out there. then I would say go for it. But chances are, if you've been a makeup lover for a very long time and a makeup collector for a very long time, there's probably only specific brushes that you need. And I would say to go with those because you can purchase those individually. I noticed the sets are now available on Ulta, but I didn't see the individual brushes yet on Ulta unless I just missed those. But you can still purchase them individually on the Morphe website. And like some of the brushes in here, I don't need or like have a use for myself, and everybody's really different, so maybe a brush that I don't need is one that like you absolutely have to have, and vice versa. So I would just really think about it. If you're going to spend $165 on all of those brushes, it's like, do you really need them? Are you going to use, you know, the majority? Otherwise, I would say individually is probably better for you. Some of the face brushes are honestly some of like my least favorite. What is this? The JH02. I do not like this brush. I use it as a bronzer. I purchased the Morphe M527 on my own a while ago because Jaclyn was raving about it, and so were a lot of people, but I just do not like this brush. I decluttered it out of my collection, and that's pretty much what this one is. I think that it applies a lot of product pretty splotchy, and I also get white hairs all over my face every time I use this one, so that one's not a real big favorite of mine. And then the foundation brush, the JH03, I also am not a big fan of this one. I've also decluttered the Morphe, oh, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head right now, but I decluttered that one out of my collection too. It's kind of like the kabuki style brush, and I just don't like it. Again, I think it's pretty splotchy when I apply my foundation with it, and it's just not, it's almost like it's not dense enough for me maybe, and I just feel like it's kind of like a mess when I apply my foundation. This brush also came in the face collection, the JH09. I know you can use it as like highlight, but again, a lot of the brushes with the white hairs, just I get the white hairs all over my face, and this just is not my favorite highlight brush. So I don't know, that's some in the face collection that I just don't love. I think this one's not included in the face collection. Only has the 5 brushes for the $58 plus a smaller bag. But I will say that this brush has been one of my favorites, the JH05. This is what I used to contour, and I think it's a great contour brush. I keep reaching for it over and over and over again. So the JH05, if you're looking for a good contour brush, I would highly suggest this one. Find the big powder brush, the JH01, but I have a lot of brushes like this, so it's not something that like super excited me, but you know, I use it to like powder my face and all of that. And the JH07 I think is a nice highlight brush. This is more of like a tapered brush. This is what I prefer for a highlight brush, so this one was pretty good. Also, another favorite one of mine that's more kind of like face style, this is the JH08, and I've been using this actually for like my loose powder on my under eyes if I'm not doing or like my pressed powder on my under eyes if I'm not doing a loose powder and I want to just kind of swirl in some pressed powder to set my concealer with. This is a great brush to do it, and I feel like it gets right up in there. I think she said this is what she likes to use to blend out concealer, but it's too big for me for that use. I want something a little bit smaller, but for powder, this one's really nice. Okay, and then to move over to some of the eye brushes, so you can purchase the eye brush set. It's $42. You get 8 brushes and a bag. That set I do think is a really good deal. A lot of these brushes are more blending brushes, and I don't know, to me, it's like you can never have enough blending brushes. And yes, you might have some of these in your collection, but it helps so I don't have to feel like I'm washing brushes every other day because I have a lot of blending brushes, you know? So that set actually did excite me. But yeah, some of these blending brushes I think are really nice. Some of them are still dirty, so I apologize. But the JH34 I really like, the JH33, the JH31, and the JH32. I think that those are all really nice. The flat shader in here, the JH41, I really like this brush for applying shadow all over the lid. I think that it's great. Some of these smaller brushes, the JH39 I think is really nice for inner corner, or honestly this one too I thought was really nice, the JH42. It's like a really tiny flat shader, but you can get, it's good for like really small areas if you're applying a lid shade, like cut creases or anything like that, but also for inner corner I thought that was really nice. So those are some of my favorite eye brushes in here. Also the JH40 is just a pencil brush. This one's really nice too. There's definitely a lot of really similar brushes to these on the Morphe website, and I mean Jaclyn did say that in her video. Not all of the brushes, like she like designed the concept of them, so If you're going to purchase them individually, you might want to check like the Morphe website too, because you would probably be able to get them a little bit cheaper just buying the regular Morphe brushes versus the collaboration. But out of all of the different brush sets, I think the eye brush is the one that I would recommend the most. I would only recommend the big set if you truly have a need for all of those different brushes. Those are some of my favorites and fails for the individuals, and then this case. This case is really, really nice. So those are my thoughts on the Jaclyn Hill Morphe brushes. Moving along, so I have some eyeshadow palettes here. So the one I used in the video was from Stilazzi. This is the Stellar eyeshadow palette. I again put this in my September Makeup Monthly in my favorite section. If you are looking for a really nice cool toned eyeshadow palette, this one is so beautiful. Oh, hey girl, I look good today. There's a mirror on the back. I'm just kidding. These are $39 on the Stilazzi website. They were sent to me. I'm also an affiliate with Stilazzi, and my discount code Samantha. I just got an email last night from the brand saying that it used to be for 10% off your purchase, and now it's for 20% off your purchase through the end of the year. So just so you know, Stilazzi is a newer brand. They don't have a ton of different products out yet, but they have face brushes, they have eye brushes, they have blush palettes, they have gel liners, and these eyeshadow palettes, which I am super impressed with. So again, this is the cool toned palette, and I've just been having the best time with this palette, and the shades are super nice. They're pigmented but not overly pigmented. You don't get a lot of fallout on your face. They're easy to blend. Mattes and shimmers both are fantastic in here. This is the one that I have on my face today. I did want to be able to put it in the review video since I got these at the same time. So this is the Spellbound palette, also the $39, same thing. It has the mirror on the other side. And then this is what the palette looks like. So I definitely get like the Born to Run vibes from Urban Decay or the ColourPop Makeup Shayla Perception palette. It's kind of like when I open it up, that's what I think. So this is your more warm tone palette. This is what I have on my eyes today. Again, I'll have my Instagram tutorial. If it's already up, I'll have it linked. If not, it will be coming very soon. But I have Midnight and then also a Blue Lagoon on my lids, and I think it's really beautiful. I've used some of these shimmers in here, some of the mattes. I haven't used as many shades as I would like to with this palette, but it's because I kept reaching into the cool toned one. But I have still used quite a few shades out of here, so I feel confident that the formula and everything is the same from the Stellar palette. It would just be, I mean, do you want them both? You could totally get them both, or do you prefer more of the cool tone, the warm tone shades, whichever, but these are great palettes from Stilazzi. So the highlight that I tried out in that video was this one here from Revlon. Revlon is coming out with a lot of new releases recently. This highlighter is called the Glitz Bomb. It's available now on the Ulta website. It is $14.99. $14.99? I feel like that's kind of pricey for Revlon. No? Yes? I don't know. I feel like it is. This highlight didn't work out the best for me. It is a very, very powdery highlight. Like when you dip your brush in it, I was getting powder all over the poor peacock leggings. If you remember, the peacock leggings were covered in highlight because it is very, very powdery. So that's just something that I would make note of. But there is a swatch of what the highlight looks like. I like the shade of it. It's kind of like that champagne gold. So I like the shade, but it also did emphasize quite a bit of texture. I didn't really think it did at first. Like as I was looking at myself, I was like, no, I think it looks good. And then when I was going back and actually editing the video, I was like, I don't think it looks as good as I thought it was looking. And then I actually had quite a few comments of people saying like, I never noticed texture on you, and I noticed it so much. I was like, yeah. So not my favorite highlight, not one that I really see myself reaching for a lot, and not one that I would be able to recommend. So that's from Revlon. And then finally, to finish it off, I was trying out some new products from Buxom. So Buxom sent me over their Pillow Pout Creamy Plumping Lip Powder. These are $22 each. So I did a couple swatches in there, and then I can't remember for sure what shade I put on in that video, but today I am wearing Cozy Up on my lips right now. So it's a pretty interesting applicator, how you apply these, because when you open it up, it looks like this, but the rest of the product is actually in the cap. So it can get pretty tedious applying it, and then I mean I have to come back usually between like 6 and 8 times into the cap to get the full amount of product that I want on my lips. So that's one con for me that I don't absolutely love. I do like the applicator. It feels really soft on the lips. It has that plumping effect like most Buxom lip products do, so when you apply it, you almost kind of get like that cooling feeling, and I like that. I really do like this color. I've worn it one other time. It's probably my favorite color from everything that I've tried. It definitely is more of like a sheer formula, kind of more of like that blotted lip look, I would say. So if that's really your thing, these could be a good one for you. I can't say it's necessarily like my favorite style of lip color, but I feel like this is kind of very like trending right now. MAC just came out with their powder something. I just tried those the other day. Kind of like the same style effect where you're not getting like a ton of pigment. It's more like softer, not like totally sheer, but just like more softer blotted lip style of look. Like for me, I'm more of like the liquid lipstick girl with like a lot of pow to the lips, a lot of lasting power to the lips. So I can't say that these will be my absolute favorite formula, but they're nice. And if that's what you prefer with your lipsticks, I still think that you would like these. Honestly, my biggest con is just how many times I have to dip back in. But that could also be because I like more boom. I like more boom on the lips. Kaboom on the lips? What was I gonna say there? I like more like pow on the lips, and maybe if you really do want that very soft blotted lip look, you would only come in like 2 or 3 times for application. So I did want to point that out too. But that's what I think about the Buxom lips, and that's gonna wrap it up for today's Hits and Misses video. Okay, so you'll have to let me know what you thought of everything that I reviewed in today's video. What have you tried out? What are your thoughts on them? What are you wanting to try out? Maybe what are you gonna skip now that you've heard my review? I would love to know. Of course, everything will be linked down below in case there's anything that you want to check out further. But as always, if you guys did enjoy this video, you like the follow-ups, and make sure to give this one a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video.